Welcome to part 5 of the Take Action Challenge. Today we're going to explore collaboration and community. It's something that we talk about all the time, and you don't have to go at it all alone. Recognize who is already in your corner. So today I want to ask some very strategic questions for you to start thinking about. And then as we go into our coaching, you will be able to really work through these questions and process who actually is efficient for you and effective for you to collaborate. So you refined your message, you have clarified the strategy that you are going to use. Now it's time to stretch your reach, but not by doing more alone. Relationships will grow your reach, but the best partnerships often come from people that are already part of your world. Collaboration isn't always formal or flashy. Sometimes it's sharing a space, lifting each other's voices, and opening that door. So here are some examples. Perhaps you have a friend who shares your post with the right group. Maybe there's a pastor who lets you speak for 10 minutes during a service or an event. A reader who invites you to their book club. A ministry partner who turns into a podcast host, and even a former client who would give you a referral or someone you have worked with before in your area of expertise. Ask yourself this question: who are all the people that I'm engaging with, and who is already engaging with my message, even if it's done informally? So here are some strategic questions to ask to discover who your collaborators are. Instead of making a list of names, start with questions. This will lead you to the right people. So number 1, who consistently supports, comments, or shares your work without even being asked? You might have a preschool teacher or a preschool director who is always liking the story time posts that you create and sharing them with parents in her inner circle. Maybe you're a fiction author and you have a reader who comments on your character quotes and tags your post with her book club friends. As author who brings encouragement in your nonfiction writing. You have a friend who always forwards your devotional emails to her small group. Question number 2, who serves the same audience as you, but with a different message or method? If you are a children's author, perhaps you know an elementary school teacher who runs a YouTube channel for kids' worship songs. Or if you're a fiction author, maybe you might know a historical costume designer or connect with one on Instagram who posts about eras that match your book's setting. If you're a nonfiction writer, maybe you know a Christian counselor who teaches emotional healing workshops and your message actually complements theirs. Question number 3. Who has already invited you into their space, even if it was just once? Maybe you had a librarian who had you read during a story time last fall, or a podcast host who interviewed you about your writing journey. Maybe a women's ministry leader who had you share a short testimony during a retreat breakout session. Question number 4. Who asks you questions that show they see you as a guide or an expert in your area? Maybe there are other parents who ask you how to get their child to read more or write creatively. A fiction author may know new writers who ask how you finished your manuscript or created believable characters. And then there are friends and readers who ask how you stayed hopeful through loss, or how to start journaling their faith. Question number 5. Whose audience would benefit from your message, and vice versa? Maybe there's a mom blogger with a large following of parents who want faith-based activities for their kids. A fiction author may know a book reviewer who loves clean, inspirational fiction but hasn't featured your genre yet. You might find a Christian fitness coach who helps women care for their bodies, and you help women care for their hearts. Question number 7. Who in your personal or church community has connections you've never asked about? Perhaps you have a church friend who's a retired teacher and now volunteers at multiple schools. Maybe you have a family friend who's a local bookstore manager, but you've never talked to them about your book. Maybe someone in your Bible study whose daughter may run a Christian podcast network. Question number 7. Who's leading a conversation online that aligns with your heart or your themes? Perhaps there's a parenting influencer who talks about raising emotionally healthy, faith-filled kids. Maybe there's a TikTok creator who does a Christian book review or story recaps in your genre. How about a faith-based Instagram account that focuses on hope, healing, and overcoming hard seasons? These questions will help you identify people, but you have to make the first move. But please start with relationship. When you discover someone in your world who could be a meaningful partner, your first move is always relational, not transactional. Let me say that again. When you discover someone in your world who could be a meaningful partner, your first move is always relational, not transactional. So ask these questions first as you approach them. Could I serve them and their audience in their space? Could I encourage or support them before asking for anything? And could we co-create something meaningful for both of our audiences? So start with encouragement, not a pitch. Add value, and then listen. That's where the trust begins. And these are the questions we are going to answer during our teaching session in Book Marketing Pro Academy as we discover together how we can find people we already know and are connected to collaborate with us. Hope you enjoyed this training, and we'll see you in the coaching sessions.